Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. As always, I hope you guys are doing well, man. Listen, today we're going to check out Canadians boycotting the U.S. Now, we've seen they've been boycotting the U.S. products. We've seen they've been boycotting flights and travel plans to the U.S. Now we're about to see them boycotting the U.S. products. This is, this is the ripple effect to what's going on today. So I'm not surprised. I just want to see and hear their point of view, and you guys as well down in the comment section. So let me know, and we're gonna continue to talk. Always let me know where you're chiming in from, and I will holler at you. Besides that, let's get into the video.
Consider it the Canadian way. Venting frustration with humor at this New York pharmacy, replacing American snacks with
Canada Dry. Now hold on.
For Toronto.
Now, I love Canada Dry. I love me some Canada Dry ginger ale. I'm telling you.
Comedian Arsalan Shirazi, it's not all a joke.
I think there's an element of people saying like, hey, we're not going to just let you push us around because we have to stand up for ourselves. We have to push back.
That fury spilling out into the open at NHL and NBA games, with the U.S. national anthem loudly jeered. Meaning
That's
a
tough.
country that famously prides itself on being polite feels deeply slighted.
I think people are disappointed, and obviously it's ramped up to a point that we haven't seen maybe ever.
Just ask any Canadian outside Toronto's U.S. consulate. You'll get an earful of patriotism mixed with anger.
Well, I'm pissed. I think it's the wrong way to do it. It's our closest ally. It's ridiculous, actually.
This plaque thanking Canadians for their support after 9/11 is a reminder of how close the relationship between the two countries has been. But historians can name other low points like this. The Star-Spangled Banner booed in Montreal in 2003 as the U.S. pressured allies to join the invasion of Iraq. Canada memorably declined, exposing cracks in what had been a mostly stable relationship since Confederation.
That sparked a kind of emotional response that we're seeing similar to today, where a lot of Canadians are like, hey, stop bullying us, stop trying to kind of push your views on us.
He points to this Guess Who classic. Written as a protest song and released amid strong anti-American sentiment in Canada over the Vietnam War.
Who is this?
There's always been this
Hold on. I know this song. I gotta find who sing this song. Let me know in the comment section. Let me know.
of kind of conflict and cooperation that's been going on. And Canadians have had to deal with the United States in a way that most other countries do not.
This time, the
They're trying to
patriotism
force stuff on
is
people.
erupting with calls to buy Canadian, and the Maple Leaf seen on social media a lot more than usual.
I think that comes alongside a bit of an anti-American sentiment, a frustration that our closest neighbor and trading partner has decided to treat us this way.
Oh, Canada, our home and native.
In a new twist Monday night, Nashville hockey fans booed "O Canada." So while the trade war may be on pause, tensions
no class,
still simmer.
bro. This type of there's no class in this type of stuff, bro. This is booing. I don't like that. Booing each other's national anthem. I do not like that because people have died for these flags. Okay, it's deeper than just these trade wars. People have died for these flags, and even us, we've been the closest allies. We shouldn't stoop that low. But I am saying this to say this. USA should not be trying to force Canada to do anything. That's not right. Even that Iraq thing, I was in high school when that happened, so I really don't recall them trying to force Canada. I don't, I wasn't into the news like that back in high school, so I don't recall it. But seeing that, it's like, man, come on. You can't force somebody to join your war. Why do they need to join your war for? You need to go to war. It didn't come to find out. The whole stuff was what the whole Iraq war on Iraq, all that. It was full of nonsense. It wasn't even true. Weapons of mass destruction. What weapons of mass destruction were found over there? Nothing. What was found? All this stuff. See, he tried to get Canada to join in on y'all, on y'all's nonsense for nothing. Come on, man. Canada rightfully so didn't send their troops to over there to die for nothing, like they made the American troops do. Talking about some weapons of mass destruction and all this, man. I don't even want to get into that.
With the looming threat of U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs, a Buy Canadian movement has picked up across the country. You may have noticed it when you go into grocery stores or supply shops, a tag that tells you if the product you're about to pick up is made in Canada. Retail expert Bruce Winder joins us now to discuss this movement, its pros and some possible cons. Thanks for being here, Bruce.
Thanks for having me on the program.
So this has been going on for over a month now, and it benefits Canadian businesses. Does it benefit consumers?
I think it benefits consumers perhaps directly and indirectly. Directly, in some cases, Canadian products have become a little cheaper now than American products because of the counter duties that the Canadian government has put on and the weakening Canadian dollar. So in some ways it benefits consumers. It benefits consumers indirectly by keeping cash in Canada and also employing Canadians, keeping Canadians employed at the companies that we're buying these products from.
Are there certain things that perhaps a grocery store we can only get from the States, for example, avocados or things like that, or is everything now available here in Canada?
No, there's some things that are from the United States. Some companies I know, like Loblaw, have looked to Mexico too, or South America in lieu of that, to get certain things. But I think a fair amount of products can be substituted outside of the fresh fruit and vegetables categories. A fair amount of products can be made in Canada, so it sounds like they're finding ways to make it happen.
Would this create less choice at all for the consumer?
Yeah, that's one of the downsides, is you may have a little less choice, right? There might be a little less brands to choose from, but I think Canadians are okay with that. I think Canadians
they don't have a
are willing to
choice.
give up a little bit of brand variety in order to back the cause.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this tariff war has...
I figure that they would, they don't have a choice. Like you saying they're okay with it, of course. But when you don't have a choice, you have to be okay with it. You know what I mean? Like, now you don't have to be okay with it if you don't have a choice. Let me rephrase that. But if you're pushing this boycott, then you have to do what you need to do. That's what I'm trying to say. But so is it hard to have fresh fruit and vegetables grown in Canada because of the climate? I would think, but because I remember when I went to the UK, it was hard to find fresh fruit and vegetables from there as well. I believe it's because of the climate. But yeah, let me know about Canadian farmers and things of that nature, please.
Rubbed a lot of Canadians the wrong way. I've talked to some people who say if they see a product is made in America, they refuse to buy it. But could that mentality impact Canada in a way?
Yeah, we have to be a little bit careful. I mean, we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. There is a lot of American subsidiaries that employ Canadians up here. So, we have to be careful we don't boycott American companies completely. And, we're also trying to mend this relationship too, right? So we also want to keep the door open. We don't want to burn any bridges with our friends from America either.
Yeah, so you mean that a lot of these companies might have Canadian employees, so they would want to stay afloat for that reason, keep some jobs going, right? So, well, this brings me to my next question. We've been talking about Hudson's Bay liquidating for the past few weeks. Could a Buy Canadian movement stop us from seeing Canadian businesses close down in the future?
Well, I think that, some of the forces that are in effect, particularly if you look at Hudson's Bay situation, they had some major headwinds to the point where I don't think a Buy Canadian movement would have saved them. Having said that, there are companies that, are suffering a little bit. They've had a hard time since the pandemic, and a Buy Canadian movement may help them make money, at least in the short term. The question is, how long will this last, right? Will it last as long as the tariffs? Will this sort of sputter out before we get resolution to the tariff issue? I really don't know.
Well, I want to stay on Hudson's Bay a little bit longer because an Ontario judge recently rejected the Hudson's Bay restructuring proposal on Saturday, saying it was neither necessary nor appropriate. What do you think? Why do you think that is? And where does this leave the company now?
Yeah, I think that the judge, I think that the three major lenders were trying to take control of the process and give themselves a lot of the say in terms of who would buy Hudson's Bay if they find a buyer and meeting budgets. And I think the judge just said, look, you know what, you don't really need to do that. I reject this agreement. A lot of what you're looking for is inherently built into the CCAA process and the monitoring process of the liquidation. Now, where this goes for the Bay, I'm not sure. Technically the company could file a receivership claim, which might not change things that much. But we're going to have to see sort of how, because they felt that the three lenders had too much control in the process.
Elaborate a bit more on the receivership claim. How might that benefit the company?
Yeah, receivership is something, where you start selling off assets, even though the company may or may not be a going concern. So this is where, the lenders would put forth a proposal to say, okay, we need to start selling things in the store and generating money. Maybe they take inventory back or they send it to liquidators in other countries. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. I'm not sure if the judge would allow that to happen too. But it's kind of a bit of a murky area right now over the next few weeks in terms of what happens now that the agreement was rejected by the judge.
Certainly a fast-moving situation. Bruce, we appreciate your time as always. That's retail expert and analyst Bruce Winder.
Thank you.
Yep, that's correct. But that's correct when he says we can boycott every U.S. product. Yeah, man. So it's not good to boycott everything in the U.S., especially if they employ Canadians. We got to keep those jobs going on. Yeah, but it's just a sad situation. Sad situation, and hopefully things get better soon. But I see that a lot of individual Trump supporters are giving him pushback right now. He's getting a lot of pushback for the way he's handling things, which is not correct. You know what I mean? So where do we go from here? Who knows? Hopefully it gets better. 'Cause it's looking bad right now. It's looking bad. But we'll see, guys. So, stay tuned and we'll catch you in the next video.